All right. Sweet. Okay. It is Sunday, April 13th, 7:28 p.m. All right. So I'm pretty stealth. I'm just waiting for Diana to be able to see what's going on with the project. But I also have a debut to show you a new website. So that should be live in a couple of hours. So I paid for the Squarespace. I paid to for the domain. So now we just gotta let them connect. But let's go over new website. So new branding, even new stash. So if you see all my other videos, like my aesthetic usually changes depending on the growth of the company. So we're having all new vibes. But here we go. First, never seen before, got new website. It's really foundational on three things. Okay. So it's foundational on personal awareness, shared purpose, and then independence. All right. So I want those three things to be permeating through everyone's experience while using the map. So I took a lot of my design influences from my magazine and I just shoved it into Behave and I've rebranded it to Maps That Care because maps should care, right? And we'll talk about that in a second. But it's very editorial now. Thinking about making a lookbook for NatCon when I go there. Shout out to NatCon happening in like less than a month now for mental health. But what we're going to be doing is I want you to build your own map, right? You should have your own narrative of space. So here's some key features, and I'll go over those real quick in the demo here. So we got personalized health and wellness maps, emotional weather mapping, crowdsourced well-being data, which that comes with more users, so you won't be able to see that, but we can infer it from what I'm about to do. And then I'm also still working on, excuse me, I'm still working on AI-powered stuff. So I don't want to use a lot of AI because I want to conserve on water, right? But I think there is a part of AI, and you can see it in some of my old demo that I did, I think in February, when I was doing comparisons to the LG, where the LG technology is in terms of vehicles and transportation. But what we're looking at right now is a market share. So Google owns 68.2%. You want to know why? Is because you can't use their search APIs when you make a separate map. You got to create all that searchable data on a map yourself. So that's why people just typically just borrow from them. Apple Maps, I would say out of convenience, that's 18.9%. Waze, owned by Google, that's a 5.3%. All right, so this is Apple, Google, Waze, which is Google. And then there's us. We have the 7.6% of others. So that would be like MapQuest, some hiking apps, a few other niche apps out there. But Behave is definitely going to be coming for this large piece all right here. So let's say why. Like, why would you want to do that? And then we're going to talk about real quick map engines that shape your worldview. And they do. Maps shape your worldview. I saw this video of the Pawn Star guy where he had this map, this antique map of California. He thought California was an island. And even though later on they figured out it was an island, it wasn't worth the time of creating a new map to show that, right? But at one time, it was captured in that light. So when Google is showing you, or when Apple is showing you what space is around you, you're just going to believe whatever that is, right? That's like object permanence. Whether it's here in front of you or we're going to take it away, then it doesn't exist. But if it's here, it exists. But there's a lot of things that are in front of you that exist that you don't know about. But look at all these people that use it. So supposedly, just from preliminary research, this can always change. But I saw that, drive ride sharing stuff like Uber, Lyft, they use it, DoorDash use it, Airbnb uses it, Booking.com, Expedia, whenever you're traveling, they're going to be using Apple Maps. I mean, Google Maps. You're looking for a home. Zillow's going to be using that, right? If you're working out, doing fitness stuff, Nike Run does that. Adidas Running does that. Venmo. So things that you didn't even think about. Banking systems use Google Maps to be able to see where you're spending your money. How much money are you taking out at certain places, right? Then games, typical stuff like Pokemon Go initially started using the Google Map API. I guess Harry Potter, Wizards Unite, I haven't played those. They incorporate business to business stuff. So Salesforce, Zendesk, UPS, FedEx, DHL. So all these companies are allowing Google to maintain this narrative of space, right? And that's a problem. So I'm also working on a new thing, receipts.vip, right? Originally a sexual health portal, now expanding to a bunch of other stuff. Very cool niche project, but I think everyone's going to like it. It's a very transparent way to be able to communicate with people, whether you're meeting them online for just like a short amount of time or you're meeting them in person for a short amount of time, right? You want to be able to have these constructive or, flowers given moments to be able to appreciate people. And you're able to connect your receipts.vip account with your Behave account, Maps at Care account, combined. Even more data, even more connection overall. Here's some photos that I did when my dad and I made friends with. I need to email him. I made friends with the guy that did um he's the dean, or he's the chair of architecture at Ball State. And I would audit some stuff with him and he would teach me a lot of stuff. And that was the day we went to go actually see the first version of Behave in real time in front of a lot of faculty at Ball State University. So that was super cool. And then here's a photo from one of my magazines. And then here are the map options, right? So we're going in free tier, right? So you're not storing any data, you're not storing any routes, but we're gonna have to start paying for it. And here's the thing, we're paying to be able to curate your own space. So I see this more as a gallery space, and you're renting that gallery space to be able to create your own map, right? You can create however you want. You can customize it. You can find health things. You can find hobby things. You can find just tons of stuff. And that'll be your space to have that map. And you're able to invite other people onto that map, and they're able to share some of that. And you're also able to take in stuff from the public map, right? So there's two sets of maps when you use Maps of Care, right? Yeah, a public domain space, a communal space where everyone's donating a lot of stuff. Then you have your own private space, right? You can take all this public data. I would think so, because I think that's important, right? A lot of public health stuff. But then you're able to curate your own space, right? So you're really just paying for that private gallery, right? Then we have a business account where you can be able to better understand certain neighborhood dynamics that are also in real time, and a lot of that real time data, but on a larger scale. So you're able to track like staff emotions, behaviors, and you're also able to compare that to consumer emotions and behaviors in real time. So here's my fact page too. I did my best to make it as detailed as possible. Check it out. If there's something I missed, let me know on my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn should work. Boom. That's me. You know where to find me. And I need to update this too. I got a lot of new designs. All right. So now that we've done all that, let's just see how this works. So I'll put the timestamps at the bottom in case you want to skip through. But what you're able to do first, when I talked about, personalized wellness maps, okay, and then we'll do emotional weather mapping. So those are the two things we'll do. So let's say, for instance, there are certain barriers that exist, and this is, well-known information. I'm just making this up on this particular setting just to give you an idea of what it is and how it works. But if you see a food desert, you just put four little quadrants. You're able to then cast that net, right? So that's going to be on the public map. All right. Let's say that there's a transportation barrier, right? So maybe there's like a bus stop that's not working, or maybe there's certain infrastructure that's preventing people from being able to reach certain places at all or on time. You're able to do that. So all the barriers work like that. You can include other barriers right now, such as healthcare gaps, language barriers, digital divides, insurance gaps, disabilities. This is all customizable. So if there's something that's missing that's not here now, we can easily add it. So just let me know. But that is barriers. Okay. Now let's start adding just certain markers. So since we're having to customize this map from scratch, right? So think about it like, so Google already has a lot of this vast information, right? You're going to have the ability to search and be able to go places, but it's going to be harder in the beginning because we're going to have to create our own search. So I'm redefining how to search for things. And that redefining is going to come based on your own personal values. So I won't show it today, but I'll show you in the next video how you can set up your profile, set up your interests, and then those should ping certain things that are already available on the map. If it's not on the map, it's probably because you're too early, which is fine because everyone's starting and this is new. So you might be a little bit too early, so you have to add it to the map itself. So how do you add stuff to the map yourself? You just go here, you just go to, let's say, food. Let's say there's a grocery store, you go to a grocery store you like, boom, you add it to the map. It's that simple. It even tells you. You see another one, boom, we add it. Let's go to education. Let's say there's a public library you like, boom, that's available for either you, or if you want to put on a public map, it'll be available for everyone. Let's add another one. All right, let's add one more thing. Economic, let's say there's like a job center. Let's add one more. Let's do healthcare. So let's do hospital and then let's do pharmacy. Well, you can also do personal ones too. Let me add a personal one. I skipped over those. So these things that are just for you. So you have home, work, school, gym, place of worship. So we could add home there. And then we can add um, gym. I know Dana said she likes to work out. So let's add that. Boom. All right. So now the map is being populated with these markers, right? Either private or shared. Private or shared. So now here's the cool part. So when you're starting an ad, and this is basic. So I base this off of affective neuroscience. I'm not going to get into it because I've already talked a lot right now, but it's a cool neuroscience that I've applied. And these are the 7 affects that you share. Envy doesn't count. That's an extra one. But we're either in a positive state of affect, so seeking care, play, positive desire, or a negative care or negative affect state, which is um, fear, panic, grief, rage, and then negative desire. So these are just general. Part of receipts is going to be implemented in this part. So this is just general, but it should serve the purpose. So let's say you're in a seeking affect state. It's added to the map, right? So at the top, you're able to see the overall dynamic of these affects. When you add up to 3 within a certain radius of each other, it's going to be this larger public circumference of that behavior, right? So that's what everyone's going to see. These are going to be private to the individual user, or they'll be public to the people that you're allowed to be friends with that you can share some of your map data with. Here on the right-hand side, you're able to see emotional hotspots. So you can see the grocery store is associated with this, job center is associated, hospital, pharmacy. So architecture, behavioral architecture, which is a cool book. I'll go over that in another video. It's going to be storing these behaviors, right? So architecture is static. Behaviors are dynamic, nonlinear. So this is going to be tracking a lot of these non-linear behaviors that we all share, right? But the architecture is going to be storing this over time to be able to see what is I guess the average or the concentration of behaviors or emotions that are being stored by these people in these places that we all share or that we don't share, like our private homes. So you're able to see that. Let's add in another emotion to give you some context. So let's add in some fear. Boom. And look, it's changing at the top. Awesome. Let's add in one more. Let's do a caring affect. Boom, boom, boom. All right, 4. So now it's gonna average them all over. You're gonna see the hotspots change. You're gonna see how many affects are stored quantitatively on the right. And then qualitatively, you're able to zoom in and dynamically see based off of different places of where you are, where you want to go travel wise, what it's like. And the emotional stats or the behavior stats are going to be changing at the top that you see, right? So as I'm moving, the data is changing. And this is all in real time. The emotions will be set for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the amount of users in the beginning. They'll be shorter as more people come on. Uh, and you can also do an isometric view. So if I want to then go to um, this place, boom, I'm still able to use this as a navigation app. I can see where I'm going. I'm going through a food desert, it looks like. I'm going past this library, right? You're able to scan the whole space. And you're also able to see like, well, where am I going? I'm going to this grocery store. I'm going, let's say, this isn't one of them, but you could say, oh, before I get there, it's going to have these emotions, right? Or these behavior traits. So you can decide whether or not you should be going to A to B, right? So this is a reflective experience. It's not about going to A to B the fastest. It's where is my A? Should I be going to B? And if I do go to B, what is the best time to go there? Not by rate of speed, but by emotional overhead, right? Quality of experience. All right, that's the short demo. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be recording some more stuff. I'll show you how to log in, create an account. That should be done this weekend. They'll be able to show you receipts, how we'll be able to use receipts on the project as well. So thank you so much. Hope you have an awesome day. I will see you later.